Okay, so there is a fire sign in your midst, and I'm going to say that for a lot of you, it might be in a work situation, family situation. For those of you who might be dating a fire sign, an Aries, Sagittarius, a Leo, I do feel that in the past position, this person was somebody that was like in and out of your life. There's a little bit of instability regarding, mutual give and take in the relationship and in the interpersonal relationship. And I do feel that a lot of the times you're kind of, we have the Eight of Swords in the reverse, in the upright position, excuse me, in the past position, which indicates to me lack of information, lack of knowledge. So there was a lot of instability in this interpersonal interaction with this fire sign, mainly because you don't really know where you stand with them, and they don't really know where they stand with you, okay? First of all, there is the inability to see eye to eye with one another. There's also that element of like, this person might be a little bit flaky, a little bit non-committal. So you're kind of left in the dark a lot of the times, and you're kind of like forced to fend for yourself. I do feel a little bit of a flakiness associated with this. And, needless to say, it's a different opposing element. So I do feel the way in which you interact with this person might be completely different. The communication styles are different. So there might be cross wires, mixed messages, and miscommunications coming through. That is normal with all human interactions. And I do sense that moving forward, this person is actually coming into the picture, and you're trying your best to be patient with them. I do feel that you're like very, very quickly running out of patience with this character. Their card is crossed by the Temperance card. So for those of you who are dealing with this situation, I do feel it is a little bit destabilizing for you. And it is also requiring a lot of patience and a lot of like maturity in order for you to successfully handle this situation, okay? In terms of what's coming in, I do have the Sun. So there's a lot of like vivacious, exuberant energy. This person brings into your life a lot of like kinetic energy. They spark. There's a great deal of passion. There's also a great deal of like very, very strong emotional, mental rapport. They it's sort of like you both are better together as a unit, and you work really well together. It's just sometimes a little bit too much, like too much of a playful energy makes it really difficult to settle it down into, like a stable type of interaction. And it's also making it very, very difficult to have those serious discussion when they come into the picture. So that's a little bit problematic that I'm sensing here. I do feel as well for a lot of you, you are planning a big major step with this person. And if this is a situation where you are partnering up in every capacity, in a work situation or even in a relationship situation, I do feel that it is a meeting of opposites. And it's going to require a lot more work, but I do feel that this time around, from the last 2 weeks of August, there is going to be a sense of like mutual agreement between the two of you as to how you want to forge ahead, okay? In terms of your environment that you're not aware of, I do feel there is movement, and this is not you. I do feel that once again, I'm getting here that there is a fire sign in your midst, okay? And this person it's sort of like you're over here planning, an event, a major, project, probably a proposal with this person. But what you're not aware of here is that this person is not here to stay. There's a very transient, a very temporary energy associated with this fire sign. So I do want you to be a little bit careful, and to also discuss how likely it is that they're able to follow through if you are planning something with them, okay? So how likely is it that they're going to be flaky like they were in the past, and how clear are they going to be with you this time around? It is really important, because I do feel that you are planning a next stage of your life, possibly with this person, in terms of a work partnership, in terms of even, traveling together with one another. But I do feel ultimately somebody else has a something else in mind, in which, the voyage itself is going to be one person rather than two. So there are definitely discrepancies between what is discussed and what is going on, in either in the back of your head or in the back of their heads, and things are not matching up. So what is planned and what's actually going to be implemented, within the next 2 weeks, are going to be are they're not in alignment. So think about what it is that you're planning, okay? Because I do feel this person is slipping out from under you, and I don't sense deception. I don't sense that they're misleading you. It's just the nature of this person. They're in and out. They're very, very like, it's a very kinetic energy. So they never stay around in one place for too long because they're afraid of stagnation. They're afraid of commitment. They are afraid of like being locked in one situation, okay? And more than anything, depending on how you've interacted with them in the past, I do feel there's a little bit of a commitment phobe energy associated with them, or either that, or they're not really sure how or where they stand with you. So I feel like things are being done without very little communication between the two of you, which is going to be problematic. Okay, so communication in all interpersonal relationship is required. I do feel a lot of wands. I do feel a lot of like action, just things that are done, without things that are executed before they're talked about, which is a little bit problematic. So you might want to go back and have discussions. Otherwise, you're going to be planning things and the other person is slipping away, okay? As for the advice here, I do have the Nine of Swords, which does indicate to me a lot of late nights, a lot of anxiety, and a lot of worries. So in order for you to mitigate the effects of this, I do feel communication is in order. Once again, this is a sword card. In the past, we had an Eight of Swords. Right now, it's the Nine of Swords. So problems from the past have not been properly addressed, or they have never been brought up and discussed out in the open. So it's escalating from an 8 to a 9 in your present situation. Okay, so this is something you want to be mindful of. I do sense as well that, okay, so for those of you, okay, so from your external environment, once again, we have the Two of Coins, which is the juggler. Okay, this is somebody who might have, two people on the side, that, or who might be dating two people, or who might be deciding between two love interests. And what I'm getting here is, for a lot of you, Taurus, you might be seeing somebody who is of a fire sign, and they might have, a very, very solid relationship that you're not aware of, okay? Because I do have the King of Wands and the Queen of Wands showing up. And usually when they show up in the same suit and, in equivalent like age brackets, it indicates to me a stable relationship. They're both in the same position in the reverse, and there's an element of stability between the King and the Queen of the same suit, and it indicates a long-term committed relationship as well. So I do feel this person is slipping out from under you, mainly because they've got lingering attachments elsewhere, okay? So that's something you want to be aware of. A lot of you might be in this situation and you're thinking to yourself, a lot of you might know about the other person because they're showing up here in the outcome in the reverse next to the Ace of Cups, which indicates to me there is knowledge that, you're not their main squeeze. You might be like the Mr. or the Mrs. And they've got somebody else pretty stable, that a relationship that they can't break away from. So as a result of it, I do feel that whatever it is that you're planning, your next phase, your next step with them, I don't feel this is kind of like, the wife or the other person is kind of like that elephant in the room. There was very, very little truthful communication and, thorough discussion between the two of you as to where your relationship is headed. And then in the future, you're planning something with them in mind. And, the anxiety and the fears as to where you stand with them, it's escalating. And it's sort of like, because there is an elephant in the room, there is a person that they're seeing, or there is a person that you're seeing who's not, who's like, whose presence is like swept under the rug, and they were never properly, talked about. There was no discussion. And I do feel as well, for a lot of you, you might be in open relationships, I'm sensing here. So for a while now, it's been pretty strange that all the earth signs, for the past 3 months, earth signs have been having a lot of relationship issues. And then a lot of earth signs were like monogamous, were in like monogamous relationships, and have transitioned over to like, socially dating a lot of people. So this happened very, very recently, like within the past 2 months as well, when I see that, they're coupling up with like more stable, more fruitful relationship partners. But then it's at a point where, you're kind of like in open relationships. And you might be linked in with another, earth sign. They might be linked in with, a spouse. They might be married. They might be in the process of separating. And these things were never discussed, mainly because you're kind of like in that phase where, you're jaded with the past. They're jaded with their past relationships as well. And you two found each other and you feel like it's a perfect match. There's a lot of understanding, mutual understanding, support from you to them and from them to you. And I do feel that you, despite their flakiness and despite, not knowing, like, not having a sense of direction with them, I do feel that they do fulfill you emotionally. And because of it, you're hoping for the best. You're hoping for this grand union in which, you're planning this major event, like possibly taking a trip together, possibly like having, like embarking on a new project, or even partnering up in a work situation, or even like doing a joint venture type of business. And you're able to overlook all of their flaws. You're able to like, to tell yourself, or at least to rationalize to yourself, that no matter what, I do hope that I can one day stop chasing this person and have them, come to me willingly instead. And I do feel it is a little bit problematic. So this is something that you want to be careful about. I do feel the love is there and the affection is there, but it is very lopsided. Okay, this doesn't mean, I do feel like you can change this, but definitely communication needs to be, turned on between the two of you. Communication is very, very important here, because one person is doing all the work, the other person is reaping all the benefits. It's very unbalanced. It is there's a great deal of passion, compassion, sympathy, and support, but one person is like in and out of the picture, so it's very problematic here. I just want you to turn on the communication. I do feel that once that channel of communication is opened up, the relationship itself can be reworked and can be balanced out and in its natural state. I do feel that, you're dealing with a king and you have queens and things like that. So in this situation, they're at least operating at their best, and they're at least more emotionally mature, where they will try to appease you. Okay, so no matter who it is that you're dealing with, I do feel this situation can be changed with a lot more communication in the picture between the two of you. If it is a work project, I do sense that I want you to be careful. If it is purely a romantic relationship, it can be changed, and I do feel with communication. If it is a work project, okay, and when it comes to like work situations and money changes things, okay, so that's just overall, I do feel it's a little bit problematic on the money front, mainly because we have the outcome here with the Page of Swords in the reverse position and the Queen of Wands reversed as well. So it's basically imbalance in the relationship. One person is giving it their all, and the other person is taking advantage of it, is like reneging on their promises. And I do feel that the Ace of Cups indicate in general that if it's like a relationship where there are, love and affection and things like that, one party can overlook a lot of flaws. However, if it's not built, if it's like a business partnership where everything is very like business oriented and transaction oriented, this is not going to work. The give and take has to be balanced out, okay? So Taurus, turn on the communication between you and a partner. And I do feel it is going to be much more beneficial for your relationships and all of your interpersonal interactions in the future. I do feel there is a little bit of conflict here, and it's sort of like you're riding high on, very high hopes and expectations, and your fear is like conflict. So you're afraid that opening up that channel of communication, it's like opening up a can of worms, and you don't really want to do that because things are going so well right now, and at least the other person is back in your life, and you want it to like just maintain the peace, the harmony, and just to keep them close, and you're afraid that communicating will like marginalize them or isolate them, and will make them like very claustrophobic, and then they'll leave again. So a relationship cannot be built on that type of fear and anxiety, okay? It is not a healthy relationship if you are feeling fear, anxiety of them walking out on you, okay? There is separation anxiety that I'm sensing here. If that's the case, you really need to open the can of worms. You have to have honest, meaningful communication. Otherwise, this situation is not going to work out, okay? So take the rest of the month to really work this out. Have concrete, questions that you want to ask, and have a I guess like have a game plan as to what it is that you're hoping to achieve, because I do feel you have to take some time here and communicate with one another, and you have to be the one to do it despite the hesitation, okay?